All right, recording on his computer. Let's roll. All right, so we don't have a few people on this call, but that's all right. We can still do what we got to do to make sure our league settings are here. What I'm going to do is I've created a beautiful presentation, as you all know I like to do, for this call. Right, Allison?
Confirm. He spent a lot of time on this.
I spent at least 30 minutes on this. At least 30 minutes. So I'm gonna share my screen and then we're gonna go through my little presentation here because it'll make sense to you once we're doing that. All right. Share my screen. Boom. Share. You all can see the magic.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Wow, there you go.
You did such a good job on the
Thank you.
emblem of our league, man. Like,
thank you.
I mean, you should get a trophy for that. There should be an award for that.
Yeah, there should be.
Oh.
There should be. The award will come when someone else makes a better logo. I'm happy to give an award to someone else who can do these things. But anyways, yes, we are dab in it. So welcome to the Family Fantasy Football League for those who have not been in it before. So welcome, Stacy. We're all happy
Thank you.
that you are here.
And Glenn, whenever.
And Glenn, you're in it, but you're not here today, so we're not cheering for you. But thank you all for being a part of this. The first thing we're going to do is introduce ourselves because there are people that still don't know who we are, as well, including Glenn. So we're going to introduce ourselves here. All right, so we're going to start with me. So my name's Greg Mish, aka Denzel, and y'all know why. I am Denzel, and for others who don't know why, you will find out quickly for that. Next, we have someone who's not on the call. Well,
Sam making sushi.
Okay, how did I end up with this awesome picture with my son, and then my name, otherwise known as Dwayne?
Well, Dwayne is not here. He's in the background. You don't know. He's not even a part of your team, right? He's not managing your team. He's not helping out. So no.
Correct.
Do not put Dwayne in there. Trust me, Stacy. There were plenty of pictures of Dwayne I could have thrown in there, but there was.
No, I'm just teasing you. I'm teasing you.
So we got Bob. So y'all probably know Bob, but Bob is our brother-in-law for myself, aka Zach. Then we have Kyle, who's also not here. You'll find out why his nickname is Girl Scout here in a little bit. But Kyle is Louie. That's his son. Oh, shite. Go back. We have Tyler. Say hi, Tyler.
Well,
No one went for it. No one went, hi, Tyler.
Hi, Tyler.
Hi, Tyler.
Brutal. I'll minimize that. Then we have Zach, aka the expert. Know what I'm saying?
he thinks he is anyway.
I thought horse trader was more appropriate, but
AKA Fireball.
You're gonna really think I'm a horse trader.
Okay. Then we have Allison, who is obviously my wife, aka second place. Is everybody still there?
I was gonna say, are we frozen?
We frozen again?
No, you're there.
Oh, sweet.
Okay.
Our internet connection is unstable.
Make sure I don't have my Wi-Fi on.
Okay.
Turn off.
Then we have Andy, aka Fireball, with his shots. He likes to do some shots on the podcast every once in a while. So I had to have that in there. Sam, he was last year's champ. So we cannot take that away from him. We can only take the trophy away from him this year. So let's do that. Andy thinks it's going to be his, but it ain't.
You gotta come here and get it.
Come here and get it. He says, come to Michigan and try it out of my cold, dead hands.
I'm on the way.
Then we have Louie. Louie can't be on the call. He did send in his votes, but he goes by Licho. Andy, why does he go by Licho again?
that's I went and visited him at his work, and on the production floor, that's what everybody calls him, is Licho. I mean, it's predominantly Hispanic, and I guess that's Hispanic for Louis.
Okay.
Licho.
I like it.
And he has a lot of respect from all of them, so yeah.
Yeah, he's a good guy. We got to meet him when we were out in Omaha,
Yep.
so that was awesome.
I like Louis a lot.
Yep.
He's my brother out here in Omaha.
Yeah.
Then we have a couple of people who are managing a team together, Casey and Samantha, aka the Aces. They do manage Case's Aces. They aren't on today's call though. Then we have Glenn. So if y'all remember from our wedding, he was the umpire who married us. The plane. That is Glenn. So he is joining the league with us this year for the first time. And then we have one other. We have Stacy, aka Dwayne might help sometimes. We don't know. But welcome to Glenn and Stacy. Welcome to the group once again.
Yep.
All
Yeah,
right,
welcome.
now you've gotten to team owners and know who the heck is in the league. Let's find out why we are here. So first, we're going to review some settings that automatically changed because I made an oversight last year when I set this whole thing up. So we'll start with that. Then we are going to go into voting on a few items. There are 6 items to vote on. I do have votes from Louis, who is not here, but I do not have votes from the others who are not here. So depending on how this goes, we may need to get their votes. We will see. Then we'll do a review of kind of what we voted on, what we said it's going to be, as well as kind of review our settings in general for like Stacy and Glenn, and to give some a refresher on kind of how this league operates on a basic level. Then we're going to talk about a date and time for the draft, discuss our new payout structure. Since we do have 2 new teams, that means there's an extra $100 in the pot, and so you'll see where that goes. And then the last but not least is discussing ideas for the league loser punishment. So if you have some ideas, we can throw those out. So first, let's talk about things that are getting added automatically. There is no vote to this. It just should be on there anyways, as a normal league would have these things on there. I just messed up last year. So fumbles will cost your player -2 points. So they'll cost your player 2 points if they do fumble the ball this year. Last year, you notice your player would fumble and nothing would happen to their point total, but that should not be the case. So that will be taken into effect this year. And then the only other thing that I added, because it did impact us a couple times last year as well, punt return touchdowns and kick return touchdowns will be worth 6 points. I'm not including punt return yardage and kick return yardage. That's kind of a much deeper league type of thing. So I'm not going to do that, but it is important to get any touchdown that happens that your player scores. It's important for that to go on to your player's point total. So that will happen this year with punt returns and kick return touchdowns. And then the last thing I do want to mention is since we have 12 teams now, it will be 8 teams that make the playoffs, and that means there are no more bye weeks in the playoffs. So Sam and Allison had the bye weeks last year, but that will be no longer. So every team, it will still be the same number of weeks for the playoffs, which is 3, but every team will end up playing. There won't be any byes. Any questions before we move on into voting? Yeah.
What time does Sam eat dinner, for God's sake?
I'm meal prepping right now, okay? It's right in the middle of the afternoon.
Yeah, shit.
There you go. Who knows? I mean, he
Also,
probably eats like 5
Allison
meals a
made the
day,
playoffs.
I would imagine.
Allison made the playoffs last year?
Oh, smack talk continues.
Cool.
Would you have any retort?
Oh, not right now. I'm still trying to just survive post soccer games. So.
Oh yeah, Allison's soaking her feet right now and Epsom salt after her soccer match. So she's not too focused. Sorry. All right, we're back on it. No other questions, obviously, other than meal prep questions. So we'll move on into voting. So what we're going to do, I want to run through a few things when we're voting. First off, we're going to go one by one. So while you see them all on the screen here, I'm actually getting ready to go into an Excel spreadsheet that I have to capture your vote to make sure I got it all down right. But we're going to go one by one. If you're unsure on how to vote, so maybe you're just undecided or you don't care enough and you want to hear it out, just say that. That's fine. Just say, hey, I'm not quite sure. Go to somebody else and I'll get their vote. Because then at the end, if we're close, like if we're 6-6, 7-5, or I know we don't have a few people here, but we'll see if we're close in the vote. That's when I'll have each side kind of explain why they voted the way they did, and that might help you then make your final vote. Any questions before I go into this beautiful Excel spreadsheet I created?
Oh, Tyler, quit picking your nose.
No.
Okay.
You say no.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna start on the first one at the top here. So it's the basically last year you could have a total of 5 running backs on your roster, but you could have 6 wide receivers. And the proposition is just that we have the ability to have 6 running backs as well, like in case you wanted to. Just to match, we have 2 running back, 2 wide receiver spots, so it makes sense to maybe have them both be the same maximum number of players you can have on your team. For those who are unaware, so Stacy, I know that you've never played fantasy football before, but this is just saying like how many players you could have at the running back position on your roster. That's basically what this means. Is you can have a maximum of 5 right now, and if we decide to go that way, we might make it 6. So that's what that means. In each position, you can have a certain maximum of players in that position.
Okay,
Um,
thank you.
Yeah, it'll make more sense as you go along. Trust me. Everything we say today, Stacy, you won't know shit. So,
I was last year. It's all good. I
um,
still made it to the championship.
okay, she won't make it to the championship this year. Okay, that will not happen.
Did you
I
did
will-
you win? Did you win? Did you win the championship?
What the
Oh.
hell? Damn. Damn.
Okay.
Damn.
All right, Zach. So as you can see on here, I've gotten like the yeses so far and people's votes so far and what they've, said for each one who's given me that info. Allison is undecided on whether or not we should go from 5 to 6 running backs on our roster. Andy, what do you say?
Yes.
All right, Andy is a yes.
So why do you
Kyle.
call them halfbacks? They're running backs.
Well, it's listed as HB in the app and in the actual game itself. Isn't it? Or is it listed as RB? I don't
Yes.
know.
It's RBs, but
Oh,
okay.
well, maybe I'm going old school
Whatever.
with it. Maybe that's my problem. I'm going too old school with
The
halfback.
galloping ghost of Notre Dame.
Yeah, we're going T-bone.
T-Bone.
Zach, what do you say?
Yes.
Tyler, what do you say?
Sure. Why not?
Okay, he's going with a yeah. That's a yes. Bob's not here. Sam, what do you say?
You might as well. We're gonna get outvoted.
Sam,
Yes.
are you there?
Yes. Sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
Glenn did not respond. Stacy, do you have an answer?
Yes.
Okay,
You
she
can
is.
put yes.
All right, Allison saying yes.
Right.
Okay, so it looks like we are going to go to increasing that running back maximum from 5 to 6 players you can have on a team. All right, cool. That one's done. The next one is passing touchdowns. So once again, for those who don't know, this is for basically quarterbacks, or even if you're running back or somebody decides to throw the ball for a touchdown. This is just throwing for a touchdown, moves from 4 points to 6 points. Andy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yeah.
Why not?
Sam,
Yes.
Stacy.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, then we're gonna go with that one as well. All right. One of the things that's different about our league, which I think most of us think is an actually awesome thing, is that you also get not necessarily a point, but ultimately you get some sort of points for every rushing attempt. And last year it was at 0.2. The proposition is for that to move to 0.1 per rush attempt. Andy, what do you say?
No.
No. Zach, what do you say?
No.
No. Tyler, what do you say?
I'm also no.
Sam, what do you say?
Are we still half point PPR?
Yes.
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 No.
Stacy, do you have an opinion?
No. No.
No.
I have no idea. So
Allison has no idea. So since we are 3 to 4, we actually
Is this
are
any rushing
close.
attempt? Right?
What's up?
Is this any rushing attempt, whether by quarterback or running back?
Yeah,
or-
it doesn't matter what position.
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't
Okay.
matter.
Yep.
So I'll throw it out here because I'm the one that threw this out. So this is my vote. So I'm going to give you the best way I can explain it. Does everybody know who Justin Jefferson is?
Yes.
Andy, You sure know who Justin Jefferson is.
Just explain who it is. Just
Okay, so
explain
Justin
what he-
Jefferson is the number one
Number
wide
one
receiver
receiver.
in the NFL. So Justin Jefferson's
Last
number one wide
year.
receiver in the NFL.
Yeah.
Okay, last
Last year,
year.
right. Yeah.
Anyways, so he won Offensive Player of the Year, meaning he was the best offensive player in the NFL. Does anybody know where he finished in our league because he's not a running back?
I do, but just go ahead.
So ultimately, there were 6 running backs ahead of him in our league in fantasy finish. And he was well above all the other wide receivers. So you had like Justin Jefferson as an outlier. You had Devontae Adams, who was like number 2 wide receiver, I believe, for us last year. And I think there were 10 or 12 running backs ahead of Devontae Adams. My point to it is I feel like we are skewing too heavy towards a running back. I totally get it because we're already in a half-point PPR. But that's why my suggestion is to go down to 0.1, because at that point, Justin Jefferson would have been more like the number 2 or 3 as the offensive player of the year instead of like number 7 or 8. That's my argument.
Why are you
But-
guys saying no to it?
So why are you saying no? So dissenting opinions.
Because here's what I think is, yes, there needs to be a premium on running backs because there's not as many good ones out there, number one. Number two, even at a half point, you could have a receiver core catch 2 or 3 passes for 30 yards. And, you could have a running back that doesn't get as many touches and they're going to score the same amount or less. I just think it puts a premium on running backs, which is important in this game. And I'm glad we're not voting on this because I totally disagree with a full point per reception, because you can have some guy that catches 10 passes and gets 10 yards and he has, 11 points compared to a running back that ran 100 yards and they get nothing for a rushing attempt and they get 10 points. So, I think it puts a premium on running backs. It's a harder position. They're a commodity. It makes it more challenging, in my opinion.
So my opinion on it is I agree with everything Andy said, but to add on to that, I also think that it should be 0.2 because of how many teams are running 2 running back systems where
Yep.
it's called running back by committee. So you're essentially going to have to be really good at paying attention to what team is playing what team and how they're going to attack and what running back you're going to start, because some teams are going to play different running backs differently against other people. And that's why I think the 0.2 is good. Plus, I prefer a higher scoring league. I mean, I don't want it to be 500 points in the end, but I prefer, your running backs to get 15 to 20 points. I feel like that's pretty average.
Yeah, all that makes sense. Tyler or Stacy, you want to give an opinion? You don't have to, I'm just saying. Or Sam.
I mean,
Sam can because he disagreed. So what's the disagreement? Why do you want to go to 0.1?
I mean, I think I understand what you're saying about like running back by committee, but there are also some guys that just get touches, significant amount of touches.
Yeah,
and
I
so
totally
it's like,
agree.
if you're the primary back on a bad team, you're just getting, you're basically getting, 4 or 5 points just because they're taking those, even if they go for 2-3 yards like a carry, like it's not necessarily like a skill based stat. You know what I mean? So like just because you're touching the ball, you shouldn't get a point, right? That's where I kind of run with it, is like, if you're picking guys, okay, he should be able to get yards. It's the same thing as wide receiver. Like they got to get the catches, right? The thought was, yes, some teams have running back by committees, but they're also 4 or 5 wide receivers. Yes, there's primary targets and everything like that, but they're getting the best corners on them, So it's like, to make everything more equal, I just feel like they shouldn't be getting free points.
I would disagree. What's the difference between that and the wide receiver screen where we're giving them 0.5 and they're catching the ball behind the line? It's not a lot of difference there. And
but I mean, also some of the running backs, like, if you're getting a good one, they'll catch screens and stuff like that too.
True, but that's that's receiving, and I guess we're mixing oranges and apples, but
Is that
ask,
you?
ask Tyler about having one of the best running backs and how he did for him. So,
Well,
I just
that
think
was
it puts
because
a
of,
premium
that was because
on
of injury. I mean,
and there's very few running backs that are gonna be the monsters. And
no,
think,
I agree with that. To Sam's point, that some of them do carry a lot. Like Derrick Henry is a prime example. He's going to get 300 carries a year just in carries. So I get it, but there's a lot of running backs, to Andy's point, that are not going to get that many carries.
right.
And I think for me that like, cause this is obviously the second year that I'm doing it, so it's a little bit tricky for me to understand like the nuances of it. Where you guys have a lot more of that background knowledge and will look into like the formations or whatever you guys are talking about. Like I will not
Mhm.
be doing that. And so like part of me
Right.
is leaning more towards no, because like I am not going to like dive deep into it like that.
Right.
Yeah, and I think on my end too. So let me just pose a question out there. Like, would you, when you think about our game of fantasy football and what we're doing, I know that it can't match regular football, but would you like it to like be matching closer to regular football, or would you like it to be this whole separate thing? Because I think that's where the argument comes in, because the game's becoming a more passing game in general, right? So that you're right, running backs are not utilized as much in the game of actual football anymore. But shouldn't
Right.
that be reflected then in fantasy football, that it's not they're not as like they're not as utilized? And I think on top of it, like I'm not asking to get rid of it because we're still getting point one. But like I
Sure.
said, for me, when I look at what happened last year, and you have certain players at the top, like Josh Jacobs was the number one running back and really the number one like point getter outside of a quarterback in our league. Um, and for me, like he actually wasn't the number one running back in any other leagues that I know of. And it's really because of the amount of carries, right? And while I can respect that adds, like it's point one still adds, because at the end of the day, like if you're getting the 300 carries for Derrick Henry, that's an extra 30 points on the year, which averages what, almost 2 extra points a game, just because, and that's with just point one. So I'm not even throwing it out as to what happened last year, which was technically, if he's getting 300 carries, he got 60 more points because he got to carry the ball. And at that point, that is an extra 4 points, right? Per game. Like that's a big difference in what we're doing. So I don't think it's like a removal of it. It's just more of trying to get it to, I guess, regress back to the mean. But that's my stance. So
You
we've all
broke
given our thoughts on
You
it.
froze up a little bit there. But let me say this real quick. I'll be fast. I'm not opposed to it going to point one. Like I'm not going to throw a fit if it is that way. I guess I should state that. Like I'm fine either way, but I would prefer it to stay. But
Sure.
I'm not like sitting here pleading my case like I want everyone to change their mind. If it goes to point one, it's fine. I mean,
I do. Change your mind.
Is there a in terms of like milestones per game, like when you hit
See-
100 yards?
see, now I said that. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
we actually do
is it
have
the
that
same-
set up in it. That's
But
already in the league.
is it the same? Like, so if a wide receiver gets 100 yards and a running back gets 100 yards, do you get the same amount of boost?
Yeah.
So is there a way we could, I don't know, like meet in the middle if you dropped the carries to point one, but then if they reached 100 yards, then you get like a slightly higher bonus. So it's more skill
On the running
based
back
other than
side.
yeah. So say like the wide receiver
I
gets to
wouldn't-
100 yards, they get an extra 6 points. Then now if a running back makes it to 100, now you get 8 points. So there's your 2 points that you might have gotten from, that you're trying to like kind of mediate the middle, but
Yeah.
then it becomes more of a skill based stat in terms of, well,
Sure.
if they had
I like
25 rushes for 50 yards, well,
Yeah.
now you just got, an extra, what is that? An extra 5 points because
Yeah.
of their carries. But I don't know. That's just a thought.
I don't mind that. That
like that
actually
idea.
makes more sense. If you would still get the bonus in the point one and then just add bonus, a higher bonus for the 100 yards and 150-yard games. Sure.
Anybody else have thoughts on that?
Andy, what about you? What do you
I was
think
gonna
about
say,
that?
what was the
Andy.
I'm staying on my position, but if we add bonus points to the yards or something, that's possibly, but I'm
So
not changing.
The only reason like I would rather consider it for next year is that it wasn't thrown out before. And since we
Right.
don't have everybody on this call, and it has to become
Yeah.
even more like to do that. But I like the idea, so I'm not opposed to that.
Sure.
Allison, which way
I
do
mean,
you
that way I just feel like it's more skill based, which is what we're trying to draft the
and
guys.
I see what you're
that,
saying. Yeah.
I like that too. I think
I mean, at the
just,
same time, though, you keep saying more skill based.
Okay.
Yeah.
At the same time, Sam, you and Andy and Greg will understand this. It's actually not more skill based doing it that way, because if you're thinking in that term, then you better make sure you draft the right running back. You want to draft the running backs that are getting 300 carries, 350 carries a year.
Exactly, and that does exactly go to the drafting. Is if you know the settings are this way, you better be trying to draft that way, and it's kind of how you build your team. You're building construction. So that's
again, I prefer it to stay the same, but I'm not gonna throw a fit if it's
I'll tell you that Allison said no, so that makes it 5-3. So that means we are not changing that.
I think you might have a question.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tyler had to go and take his computer. Can you guys see us okay or hear us okay?
I mean, yeah, we can see you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some color code this. Okay, so we're a no on that. So we're going to stay at 0.2 is what we're doing. All right. Next up, 2-point conversions. They were in as 1 point last year.
I didn't catch. You broke up. I'm sorry. What?
Oh, sorry. So we are staying at 0.2 per carry. So now we're moving on to the next thing, which is 2-point conversions. And in our league, I didn't notice this, but they were listed as 1 point. So the proposition would be to go to 2 points for a 2-point conversion. No matter if it's receiving, throwing, or actually, I don't even know if there is one for throwing. I had to take a look at that, but basically receiving, throwing, or rushing. Andy, how do you vote? Do you want to stay at 1 or go to 2?
Go to 2.
Zach?
2, yes.
Tyler?
Change it.
He's off right now.
He says yes.
He says yes.
Okay. Sam?
Sure.
Stacy?
Yes.
Okay. So that one is a green. All right, next up. These next two might kind of go into each other, but we'll start with the IR spots. So again, for those who are unsure as to what the IR spot is for, it is basically for any player who is out for either that week or for an extended period of time or actually on IR.
Can you spell what that is?
What? So
Injured.
yeah, so it is the injured reserve. So basically, if someone goes on IR, if like a team actually puts them on IR, that means they're out for multiple weeks. So you won't have them, and you can put them into this specific spot that actually helps you add another player to your roster. So ultimately, the IR spot is almost, in a sense, like an extra spot, but it's only for people who are hurt and are out for like that game. So what you can then do is put the player who is hurt into the IR spot, and then you can grab another player off of the free agent list that's out there to put them on your team. So the proposition is to go from having 2 IR spots, which we had last year, down to 1. Proposition was made because the 2 IR spots were due to like COVID. For those of us who've played during this COVID era, it was a big deal, and you'd all of a sudden just randomly have a guy out on Friday for Sunday just because they tested positive for COVID or they were in the same room with someone who did, and it was all screwy. But it would be proposed to go from 2 to 1. Andy, how do you vote?
I'm gonna go for yes, because I don't want to get scolded for having somebody on a game time position.
He is
Correct.
stuck on
Correct.
that.
Yeah, we will. And that's one of those unwritten rules, Stacy, is that came up halfway through the year. You cannot leave someone in your IR spot that is not hurt. Basically, once you play the game, like once the game is played, if they aren't hurt and they were able to play and you leave them in your spot, it's going to cost your team 15 points.
Don't even go there. It was a game
I
time.
know. Well, hey,
And I was in a position where I couldn't do anything about it. So
Yep, he couldn't. I made an executive decision, and he did not get penalized, so don't worry.
yeah.
Anyways,
It was right up
and
there,
Andy,
man.
to Andy's point, he is right. It's a part of the game itself, its system for ESPN is that you can do that. You just can't make any other moves. It won't allow you to do anything with your roster until you get that player out of that spot. But anyways,
Yeah.
Zach, how do you vote?
Yes.
Tyler. I don't know. I don't know why.
Yes.
Okay. Sam.
No.
No. Stacy.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that is green. We're going from 2 to 1. All right. Our final thing to vote on. Yay.
Can I just, going back to that IR spot, let me just add something. Since we went from 10 teams to 12 teams, that means there's going to be fewer people on the waiver wire. And I think since we are going to go to one IR, it puts more people on the waiver wire so that if somebody's in need of somebody, they have an opportunity to get them. So
yeah,
I think it helps us there.
I would agree with that too. That's a really good point that I had thought about previously, Andy. And this next one kind of feeds into that as well, like into that thought process, Andy. But it was proposed to go. So normally we had your roster would be a quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and then we have 2 flex spots. So Stacy, a flex spot is a spot that you could put either a running back, a wide receiver, or a tight end. So if you wanted to, and you could put anybody in those spots, the 2 flex spots. So that's how our roster was constructed before. The proposition is to go from 2 flex spots down to 1 flex spot and an extra bench spot. So you wouldn't necessarily lose a player on your team. You would just, there'd be 1 less starting position during the games. Any questions about it before we go to vote? All right, Andy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Zach, how do you vote?
Yes.
Tyler, how do you vote?
Yes.
Sam, how do you vote?
Yeah, I guess so.
Doesn't care. Stacy, how do you
Well,
vote?
I mean, once it gets to me, there's like already 6 yeses. It's
Yeah, but there's only 6. That means it could be a tie of 6 to 6.
Right. Right.
so if you can put me down for yes.
Okay, she votes yes.
And why don't you form your own damn opinion? Jeez.
You kind of did.
Yeah.
I already have.
Yes.
Well, and Zach, you're the one that proposed this, but kind of here's where I felt it was going as well, is that going from 10 to 12 teams also, like it becomes even a greater challenge to maybe fill those like 2 flex spots, especially if we're removing an IR spot and you might want to hold on to somebody. So now your bench has like somebody who's out or on IR. So it might be tougher for 12 teams to fill like confidently 2 flex spots. And I know that could be part of drafting and how you manage your team. Like I get all that, but I think that's kind of where you were going with it, if I'm not mistaken, Zach.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so here's what I'll say. Not that I want to change the league a whole bunch all the time, but I would say in a year or 2, if we all still keep doing this, we could add the second flex spot back. But this was more for like the new people so that they don't have to, I mean, to have 2 flex spots with 12 teams, you better be paying attention and knowing players and how deep the teams are. Like that's a lot of players when you're talking 12 teams with 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 2 flex spots, a tight end spot. Like that's a lot of players and it starts getting thin. So to the new people, I think they'd be real handcuffed to the people that actually pay attention to football like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's where like I wasn't sure which way to vote, but then like after like remembering that there's more teams in it and like less players that I would be able to try to
Right.
sort through and more to
So
pay
the way
attention
to
to,
think-
I'm like,
Right. The way to think about it, though, is look at it like this. Look at how the waiver wire looked for our fantasy last year.
yeah.
And that was with 2 less. what?
Yeah.
What is it? 12 spots on 13 spots?
Mhm.
What's the
Well-
whole roster? 12, 13?
Oh, like the total number of players, including bench?
Yes.
I think it's
Yes,
like
yes.
16, like 16 or
Yeah.
something like that.
So that's 32 more players that are not on that waiver wire that were last year. You see what if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, we started
Right. No.
9 last year, and then I think we had 6 bench spots. So it may have been like
Yeah.
15.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's 6 or 7, something like that.
Yeah. Right. Right.
I have a question though.
Yeah.
Sam, are you prepping food for the entire week or what?
Yes, sir. Pasta salad.
I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, shit, man, he eats a lot of food.
Yeah. Just,
Gotcha.
Well, and it's so funny
Two birds
because
with-
we don't have the
birds with
Zoom up, so I can't see everything. So I appreciate you giving us a play-by-play so I can like understand what's happening.
Yeah, there we go.
'Cause I think
wanna
otherwise you
think
see
there's
it
some
on your
beans
screen.
in there. I think there's some beans. I'm not sure.
oh, there are. Well, some
Andy's
some
not even paying
chickpeas.
attention to this fantasy football right now.
No.
He's like on the green.
No, he's not.
Well, I'm going to tell you, last year when Sam used to be on the Zoom, all the closet behind him because the doors were always open and shit, and you're just wondering what does his closet look like?
Come on, I'll give you a tour anytime you want.
We'll make that happen the next podcast he's on. We'll make sure he
Yeah,
does
cribs.
a tour.
Yeah, you're gonna have to give us a virtual tour.
He
What's up,
did.
MTV? Welcome to my crib.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Greg did that.
I did do
It
that.
took one take.
It did. It was good. I'll send you all that. Don't worry.
Anyways, back to the topic though. Yeah, again, this is not another one that I would be real devastated if it didn't change, but I think it helps the newer players.
Yeah.
That was my whole purpose of doing it. It makes
Okay.
it more
Look out.
fair.
I'm going to give another thing out there that'll help the newer players. Don't trade with Zach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, you're like, oh, looking out for all the other players after.
Yeah,
all
looking out for the newbies.
Shenanigans
For
he pulled last year.
For the
Yeah.
family members and members that are not in this Zoom call right now, don't listen to a damn word these liars are telling you.
Yeah, truth. It's truth, baby.
You're a great trader. Wait till you see the trades I will offer you.
That's not helping your case at all.
Love it. Love it.
If I see Zach, I'm just reject.
Glenn, welcome to the league. You will definitely be receiving a trade request from me.
Yeah, we should all be trying to trade. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So back to the task at hand. So what has just changed in our league settings? I'm just going to quickly review it. So off the top, before we even got to vote, was that we are obviously adding fumbles. They're going to cost each player 2 points when it happens. And then we're adding punt return and kick return touchdowns to it. So that's being added. We are also staying at 0.2 points per carry. But every other item that was proposed was a yes. So we are going to increase maximum running backs from 5 to 6. We're going to increase passing touchdowns from 4 points to being worth 6 points. We are going to go from 2 IR spots down to 1 IR spot. We are going to remove one of the flex positions and turn it into a bench spot. So we'll have the same size of roster. It just won't be it'll just be a bench spot instead of a flex roll. And then I'm sorry, I needed to go back here. And then 2-point conversions. Yeah. So 2-point conversions will now be worth 2 points for your players. So that's the what just changed. For you newbies, you'll hear a lot of terminology that goes into what a league is, or like how it, like they'll say a full PPR or half PPR. When we say that, what PPR stands for is point per reception. So basically every time a player catches the ball, that's how many points they get for that. We play in a half point per reception league. So if the player gets 10 catches, they'll have 5 points from those 10 catches. We are staying at the 0.2 points per carry. So again, if a player rushes the ball 10 times, basically they'll have 2 points for their
That's
rushing
any
attempts.
player.
Any player, yes. And we also calculate it to like the decimal. So it is to the 10th. So if you have a wide receiver that just runs one end around or one reverse, they will get 0.2 points for that carry. So you're correct. Any position can do this. What that also means is if you're a running quarterback, usually they get more points for that. But we've also kind of mitigated that now with the vote to go from 4-point passing touchdowns to 6-point passing touchdowns. To me, that helps pocket passers get a little bit closer to some of those guys like Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen, all that kind of stuff. Those are like the main ways to kind of explain a league. Everything else that we have is pretty much the same. We are 12 teams this year. We are going to be still in 2 divisions, but how we don't really worry about the division as much when it comes to who makes the playoffs. So it is not based on division. It is based on overall record. Tiebreaker goes to points. So first we go with the record, and then if your records are the same, so Stacy, let's say you have the same record as Tyler, but your team scored more points over the whole year, that means that you are ahead of him and you win the tiebreaker. So that's how that works. And I think the second tiebreaker, in case that has to happen, is a head-to-head matchup. So again, Stacy, if somehow you and Tyler had the same exact record and you have the same exact total points, which would be very rare, but now we go to who won in your actual matchups when you played each other during the season. And if Tyler won, those matchups, then he would end up going into the playoffs. That's how we have it set up.
Okay.
Are there any other like rules from like some of you folks that I'm not mentioning that you feel like is important for a new person to know? Oh, we don't have kickers. Sorry. That's one big thing that Allison is upset
tell
about.
them that. Let them draft kickers first thing.
Well, you won't even. Well, here's what's going to happen. You won't even have the option because we don't do it. So when you ask us why can't I draft Justin Tucker? It's because we don't play with kickers because they're useless people. Okay, right, Allison?
Okay.
But anyway,
Hey,
so yeah, we don't play with a kicker. That's like the only thing that we don't do that other leagues do. But actually, a lot of other leagues are getting away from it as well. It's just a very volatile position where you don't have any idea what could happen from week to week when it comes to a kicker. So it's kind of crazy.
Makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
I do have something that I'm going to kind of interject here that's kind of off what you're talking about. But
great.
Let's talk about the draft.
How about we do that in a fucking moment?
Oh, fucking K. I didn't
Jesus,
know that
Andy.
was on
Did
your
you
agenda.
not?
It
Did
wasn't
you
on
not
your
follow
screen.
the
It was
outline
not
that I
on your
put at the
fucking
Did you see the outline that he put up there? He's got a presentation here,
that.
Andy.
I think what Andy's trying to say is let's move on from this.
Let's move on to number 4.
Gotcha.
Okay, we're gonna move on to objective number 4.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ, Jesus Cristo Almighty. Okay.
Yes, I saw about draft date and shit, but nothing other than that. So.
Anyways, we need to have a draft, okay? So that's important. What we did last year was Labor Day weekend. I feel like that's always a great weekend to do it because it is the closest weekend to the start of the season. And for all of us, that kind of matters because obviously preseason, during training camps, all this kind of stuff, players can get injured. And so for us, why I do it at Labor Day is I just feel like you have the most information you can possibly have right before the season starts to know if you can draft the best team at that point. So that's why I like Labor Day weekend. Plus, you have the extra day off on that Monday. So even if we do it Sunday, it's not like now I got to go to work on Monday. It's not going to get crazy anyways. But anyways, does everyone agree with Labor Day weekend, or would you prefer to do it a different time?
Labor Day weekend.
That's a good time. In the evening.
Okay.
Yes, in the evening. Yes.
Okay.
Well, actually, hang on. You said that Stacy and Dwayne were going to be at your house for this, right?
Potentially, yeah. Right, Stace? Because I don't know if that's still on. I mean, we want to host you, so.
Well, God knows how many people will show up.
Well, I'm sorry to put that in here and all that, but the only reason I say is that, I mean, will evening work if that's what you guys are doing on that weekend? If they're
Well, what
saying,
time are you saying for evening? Is it like 6 or is it like 8?
I mean, sure, my time 6 is fine, but
So
that's 5 o'clock your time.
We can make it work. I mean, I think we'll be fine.
Will the
Okay.
ribeye be done on the grill by then?
Good point, Dwayne. Yeah, that fat will be rendered by that point. We'll be fine. Yes.
I don't know. I've seen some of your work on video before. No.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
What have I? What is that?
What
Oh,
was it? You were smoking something and you were carrying it out and you were like,
Oh,
what?
Yeah.
that was a while ago.
Oh.
Yeah. I think I put it in the chat.
What did I do?
I don't remember.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
you had a Stevens
listen.
moment.
Anyways, all right. So it sounds like Labor Day weekend works. Is there any day specifically that you all prefer? Do you prefer Saturday or Sunday?
I would prefer Sunday, but I mean,
Sunday. Okay.
Sam, are you playing that weekend?
that's a good question.
Am I playing what?
Lacrosse?
With yourself.
Oh, that's a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday thing for me.
So Sunday
Yeah.
works well for you then, Sam?
Sunday, yeah, Sunday late is normally fine.
Will you have all your food prep done by then?
Most likely.
Okay. And then
Andy's
Yeah, so it
coming
sounds
for
like-
blood today.
I am in it to win it.
yeah, he is. He is going for it. He is going all in. So
Well, Andy, you're watching the champion do his meal prep. Are you taking notes? You better start meal prepping.
Dude, I do not need any tips on how to food prep, okay? Let's just make that straight.
love it.
I am a professional.
See,
That
I
is
got-
true.
I got
Andy
all this
is a
extra
grill
time.
master.
I don't have to prep for my draft because I'll just take Zach's picks. So like I use all this time to do meal prepping.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
Oh, I think it.
And I assume Tyler is fine with Labor Day weekend.
I'm sure he probably will be. He'll be in school. God only knows what he'll be doing. So,
Okay.
I mean, he'll probably be home that weekend or
Be on vacation somewhere on some exotic beach or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paid for by
Living
Dwayne
his
and
best-
Stacy.
College
Right.
student.
Living his best life.
Yeah.
yeah, there you go.
Okay, so
Yeah.
then we'll set it up for the Sunday of Labor Day
I'm good with
weekend.
that.
So we'll set it up for that. So
You
I'll do
evening,
that,
though?
and then it sounds like people have said evening. Is that fine? Like I'm just gonna say 5-ish our time, I guess, just to give a generalized time frame.
Okay.
Or do you want me to move it to like the nighttime?
I would rather do 6, maybe, just
That's
because
Okay,
That's
so
fine.
after
I'd be
dinner.
working, I would be off by that time.
After, okay, got it. Okay.
Hey,
Hold on.
Casey just sent a text and he said he got caught up at work. Send him the details.
We'll do. I'm gonna send this out to everybody. So yeah, we'll be. I'll be on it. I'll fine that fucker. Fine excuses from everybody. Jesus, gotta make money. Bullshit. Anyways, okay. So we'll do it for that Sunday of Labor Day. We'll do the nighttime. So yeah, I can do 6, 7 o'clock Central. It doesn't matter. We'll be here
Perfect.
having some cocktails at that point, anyways. And I'm
Exactly.
sure our drafts will be awesome. That's what's going to happen. I will set up a Zoom call so that way we all can see each other still as well, in case y'all want to get as many people together as you can. I know Andy, you got Louis last year with you, right? I
Yep.
think?
Yep.
And then Zach, and you can
I'll be-
get Bob over there,
Yeah.
and if Tyler's in the area, maybe Casey and Samantha if they can. Who knows? But we'll get that
Yeah.
done. So I will set that up and get that basically over to you all so you can put it in your calendars. But just put in your calendar for right now. Sunday evening, we'll be doing our draft. The draft order. This part is important, and for this year, I'm sticking with the same thing we did last year, which is that basically the app itself automatically gives it to us 1 hour before the draft. So that'll be what our draft order is. And that's mainly because we're getting 2 new teams. I think next year when we have this call, we can talk about how we would like to do draft order. If you wanted to do it by the way people finished in this past year, or if you want to do, hey, it's got to be hand drawn, whatever we want to do, we could change it up. But for this year, I'm just going to keep it the same since we have 2 new teams. And then, like I said, I will set up that Zoom call so we can still see each other and talk some smack while we are drafting. Any questions about the draft before we go on to the next thing?
No, that's what I was gonna say. With new teams, just do it automatically.
Yeah, it just makes the most sense.
However, I will throw this out for the group, and please think about this for future. If somebody drops out and a new player comes in, I think what we ought to do, and we can talk about it later, but you do it by reverse draft order or reverse of what you finished. But if somebody new comes in, somebody drops out, they just inherit that team and wherever they fell. I think we need to start
Yeah.
rewarding that because we're not going to go beyond 12, correct?
No,
No, I don't
Nope.
want to, no.
I don't want to.
no, we do not. Because once you go past 12, like 12 is already stretching it on players that
Yeah.
you even know and
Agreed.
recognize. So yeah, if you're going anything past
14
that, you
teams
better.
is too many.
I mean, I've heard of 20
14 's
team
too many.
leagues where it's like, how do you even know some of these guys? So
Yeah.
but no, we are not going past 12. But I would agree with that. Like that all makes sense. And like I said, and we'll talk about that at another time as
Yeah.
well. But good idea. Okay. Payouts. So there is going to be a total of $600 in the purse. What I have done for the payout is I've only really adjusted the top finishers' payouts. So last year it was first place got 200, second got 100, third place got $30, and then the consolation bracket winner got 30 as well. And then the weekly winner prizes was $10 each week. So this year I've just updated it. So I added $50 the first place, they get 250. Second place gets 130. Third place gets 50. So basically their money back for the league. Consolation bracket winner stays the same at 30, and then the weekly winner stays the same at $10 a week. The weekly winner, this is just for the new folks, is basically whoever has the highest score on the week of all the teams, they get $10 for it. I pay that out at the end of the year because, like, for example, I think multiple people got like 2 times last year, as well as I think Sam got 3. So I kind of
Yeah.
wait till the end and then I pay everybody out at that point for that. Any questions on that?
Nope.
Nope.
Good.
Okay.
So this may, under 16 games?
So there
17.
are 14 regular season games. So we only do so we'll basically I know there's technically 17 games now in the season for everybody. So here's how it works. So so since you're new to this is where it will go. This is actually very important. Good question, Dwayne. So in fantasy football, we don't play like the playoffs, right? Because you're going to have a bunch of players that might not even make the actual NFL playoffs. So that's not how it works. The regular season for fantasy football is the first 14 weeks. In part, that's kind of twofold. Partly it's so that way we can have a 3-week playoff. So weeks 15, 16, and 17 of the NFL regular season become the fantasy football playoffs at that point. Another reason that we go through 14 weeks is that there's also basically teams can have bye weeks all the way from week 5 through week 14. So this helps to capture all of those before we ever hit the playoffs. So that's why we do 14.
That's another thing that I will mention real quick about the draft, going back to that and what you just mentioned for the new people. Make sure you pay attention to your team's bye weeks. You don't want to have a bunch of the same players with the same bye week.
Or it could be your strategy that you want all of them.
Or you do. Yeah. Okay. Well, don't take my advice. I'm not an expert, regardless of what they tell you.
I never said that, but okay.
But does that make sense, Dwayne?
Yes, no, that works. Yep.
Okay. So and that's why we only do the weekly winner payout through week 14. We just keep it for the regular season for that. It is $50 per team as your entry fee, and then it's payable by all those ways that you see down below. So I can do Zelle, I have a PayPal account, which is just linked to my email. I have Apple Pay, so if you have an iPhone, you can send me Apple Pay. Venmo would be Allison. I think it's your email.
I don't know. So just
Okay.
if you want to do it, just text me and I'll figure it out and send it to you.
Yeah. And then also you can pay me cash when I see you. And then if you want to send me check or money order, fine.
One note on that though, Greg, is if they send it by any of these, especially PayPal, I know is bad about it. Don't put fantasy football on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because they take that as gambling. So I don't know how you want them to mark it, but I would
So-
not put fantasy football in there.
That's a great point, Andy. So, for all of those who are going to listen to this recording vigilantly, as well as those who are on the call, yes, put just thank you. Like I know why you're doing it. So,
Yeah.
but that's a great point, Andy, that you don't put it in there as that because then they look at it as yes, you are gambling.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's payouts.
Oh,
League loser punishment. Okay. Kyle, you're not on this call, but you have yet to actually do the punishment. So for those who don't know, the Kyle was the big loser last year. Remember that, Kyle? Remember that? And
I'm
so,
so disappointed in my nephew. So disappointed.
oh my gosh.
I have an idea on how we can make this.
Well, yes.
Better.
So we're going to throw out a couple
I
of
had-
things. A
I
couple
had one
things
as
because Zach
well.
has one idea that I like as well. So we're going to start with Allison,
Oh, the one
and
that
then
you
we're
don't
gonna
use.
and then we're gonna go to Zach. Well, no.
Right.
This is a twofold kind of
Okay.
thing, right, Zach? This is kind of a two-folder. But ultimately,
Okay.
Kyle, you still need to accomplish that task. We're not letting you off the hook for it.
Are you explaining what it is for those that don't know?
So for those who don't know, Kyle's task, since he lost the league, was he had to go, basically talk with another Girl Scout troop to then go to the supermarket and sell cookies like along next to them, but he has to sell different cookies that are like vegan cookies and other kind of shit like that. And
Oh
all
my
that he
God.
lost fantasy football, people had to, and he couldn't leave until his cookies were gone.
And he claims that there's no Girl Scout troops around in the area, blah, blah, blah. So then my idea was, well, then you just have to sell cookies, pretending like, I don't know, like, I don't even
Like
want to,
you are a
like,
Girl Scout. You're
pretend like
dressed as
he's a
something.
Girl Scout,
Yeah.
or
I
he
don't
just
know if
has
you
to
can
be there
legally
like a
do
random
that.
person selling cookies. And so I think that could be a way
Yeah, so
to
Kyle,
rectify this.
ultimately, what Allison's getting at is that if we need to adjust this punishment, we are willing to do so. Where you don't need to even contact a Girl Scout troop, that is fine. But here's your two options: set up your own booth at a grocery store. You can't tell me you don't get groceries somewhere in your small podunk town. So set up a booth at your local gas station or grocery store, whatever, liquor store, wherever you want to set up and try to sell some cookies, or you can go door to door, dress up as like a Girl Scout or something like that, and try to sell your cookies.
The only
That's-
issue I have with this is he could get labeled a sexual predator, which would scare me.
That's
because
what
that
I
would hurt him for the rest of his life.
said that.
And secondly, maybe we could just have him bungee jump off of one of the wind turbines he works on. And
He would enjoy that.
Yeah, right. We don't
But
want to.
we could have
Well,
a
but it'd
sign
be
saying I
pretty
lost in
cool.
fantasy football. So it's
Yeah.
not like we'll have it noted, like I lost in fantasy football. So then people know
So-
that this is the punishment.
Yeah, please buy my cookies.
I just don't want him to have to register if he moves from town to town.
Yeah.
Well, he's not going door to door with a bunch of dildos. Okay, so he's not trying to sell that. He's not doing an adult Girl Scouting. He says.
Like I said, I don't know where he lives, but I'm sure he lives somewhere by a neighborhood where I'm sure it would be fine. He could just go door to door and be like, "Hey, I lost fantasy football. This is my humiliation. I have to come sell cookies."
Yeah,
like-
and his girlfriend has to video it. Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah,
Send it to
somebody
him.
else
I
should be
think-
with him when this
Oh, they have to.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people would not mind that, but I don't know. I don't know. Man.
Okay.
But yeah, figure it out.
I mean,
So
I
Kyle. Yeah, Sam, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, as long as, like Allison said, as long as there's like if even if it's at a grocery store, as long as it says like, hey, like I lost in fantasy football, this is my punishment. You even put at the bottom like all proceeds to a Girl Scout troop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then, like
Agreed.
people will be
I
more
like that.
likely.
Yeah.
Him going door to door is a little bit sketchy because like if some guy walks up to my door like selling,
Yeah.
like
Sure,
no,
yeah.
thank you, but like he's got a big
Yeah.
old sign outside of his grocery store, it's
I
like
get it,
all,
yeah.
you know, then I think that
agree
one's a
with
little
that.
better.
I
I
think
think we
agree
need
with
to
that
figure out a
too.
costume though. It can't just be his normal getup.
Yeah, get him a Girl Scout costume, the little brownie skirt and
The
the
sexy
sash.
ones, because those came up when I was searching for costumes. I was like, oh god.
Allison's
Wait,
done
what are
her
we doing?
research.
Already got it.
Let's
I just
just
don't know,
make
I don't know
sure-
his size to be able to order it. So.
let's just make sure any future ones don't involve costumes because I'm a
Yeah.
big person, so I don't fit in a whole bunch of things.
Well, I didn't think we had to do a costume, so we'll figure it out.
Well, yeah, I'm not even
Yeah.
pushing that on to Kyle.
No.
It's more of like getting these things sold. So, Kyle, those are some of your options there. Got to get her done. But here is we're not doing it for Kyle because it was not mentioned beforehand. But Zach is going to throw out an idea that I love and that we are going to kind of move forward with. And if it's not punishment enough, then we might need to add a few people to that they got to take care of. But Zach, throw out your idea in case someone is in the scenario we're in now of Kyle who has not done his task.
Okay, so my scenario is if last place loser does not do their task, they have to pay for the champion's entry fee. So whoever wins that season, they have to pay their $50 entry fee. So essentially you'd be paying $100 that season for the league.
I like it.
But that's the easy way out.
Yeah, that's where I look at it as like it could be.
It kind of is, yeah. Because I mean, because I'm sure Kyle will hear this and be like, "Oh, well, I'll just pay Sam $50. Cool." But
that's
I
where
mean,
I
I
would take
don't.
it.
I feel
The
like
only-
it should be
I just
both.
feel
I
like-
feel like you still have to do the punishment, but because you were
Agreed.
late on it,
Well, no, it's not about being late because here's where it went to. Like ultimately, these punishments, like that's part of the fun of the league. Is yeah, it sucks and it's like it could be embarrassing, but that's the whole point. Is like it's an added
Right.
part to that, and so
Yeah.
I can see like it's basically what Zach is proposing is instead of us just kicking the person out and just saying, well, you're not participating, you're not doing what you said you do, you're not holding up your end of the bargain. And I'll just throw them out there. Kyle, there's no way for us to hold you accountable to this. You're in Texas. It's not like I can come to your
Yeah.
house and force
Right.
you into doing something.
Right.
And same with others, right?
Came to
But
mind,
instead of
what the fuck?
but to keep it like we're family, we want people in this league. We don't want somebody to like drop out because they don't want to do the punishment or get kicked out because they don't do this punishment. So this is kind of a way to like keep them still in the league that they would like to be in, but have a way around it. So I mean, we could even up it and say they got to pay for whomever's in the championship games. They got to pay the first and second place.
I'm okay with that.
What if we do that? I mean, I think that's I agree with both of them. I like it. I mean, yeah, the easy way out to pay it or whatever. But let me look and see what I can come up with. Because, like, what about a license plate that just says I'm a fantasy football loser that they have to put on their car for that entire year and ride around with? That
You could
is
probably
also
do
part
that
of it.
because you could probably put FF loser. I'm pretty sure you can have.
The logo.
I'm not talking license plate. I'm talking about the holder.
You're talking about the
that
bumper
goes
sticker,
around it.
like a bumper sticker.
Oh,
No,
the
decal.
holder.
It's the
Yeah,
actual.
I know.
It's,
A
it's
plate
the license plate
Right.
holder that goes
The
around it.
frame.
Yeah.
Oh, I got it.
You can put that on there, and then they have to snap us a picture once a month to prove that they still have it in their vehicle, and send it to the text, and that way, you know, whether they're going to
I feel like your idea of doing that they pay first and second, that might be more of an incentive because now you're talking about $150.
Yeah, like if you're going to stay in the
No,
league, you got to
I
pay
like them
150.
having to
Yeah.
do something. I think we ought to have them do something. But also, if we, and I'll go online and look at that, but if we
Look
could
at
also
this guy.
throw
What are
in
we
the
doing
license
here?
plate holder, that way they have no excuse that there's no Girl Scouts or there's no store or there's no.
Well, because then this
whatever.
can be passed down from loser to loser.
Right.
This just might be
So
an
the next
add-on
year-
to the punishment too.
Yeah.
It's an
Yeah, I think we
additional.
could add on something like that.
Yeah.
So I'll look into finding one of them.
Because I can understand and agree like this Girl Scout cookie task, that's a big task. Like that's like one of the bigger asks, and it's usually for leagues that are really established. And I guess when I threw it out there, it was more because we're family. Like I feel like we're deeper involved than we actually are, if that makes sense. Like I know some of us are really into fantasy football, but some of us are not, and we're just in it because we love being with family and talking and all that stuff. So it was
Right.
really more for that purpose. Like I felt like we could, but so I understand this is like a deep ask, and I would say for ideas for punishment for like next year, we got to really realize, is this truly doable? Is it something that like everybody will do? But I do like the idea of having, if you don't do it, then you do owe like at least paying for that, the champions entry fee, or paying for first and second place. Like, I think those are good deterrents to say, okay, well, if I want to stay in the league, I got to do something. I either got to do this challenge or I got to pony up the money.
I hate to interrupt you, but is Sam out there foraging for food now?
That's
Shaking the tree?
I said, what is he doing? Like, what are we doing? Now he's
Listen,
out
it's
doing
Sunday.
yarding. I mean,
Meeting's
he's
gone on
cooked.
long. I got a rake. Okay?
He's
I'm
cooked.
still
He's
actively
cooked. He was
listening.
using the drill. He was
Love
cooking
it.
stuff up.
It just came out of
Nobody's-
hibernation.
Now he's on yard work.
Yeah. We got, some of us got to get to mowing, man. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Hey, we got things to do with Sunday. I got work tomorrow.
I get it. So we're trying to get through this. Okay. All right. So here's where we'll go. We'll vote on that for this year. Like, do you all want that to be a part of the league loser for this upcoming year? Would you like
Yes.
the
Yes.
monetary incentive as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I don't
here's
care.
what
I don't
here's-
care which one, my first recommendation or yours, but I think yours might be more of a penalty because it's, then you're paying 150. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
So let me throw that. So let's just throw that out. So I think we all agree, like, that's a good idea, because when you threw it out to me, Zach, yesterday, I was like, I love it. We're gonna do it. All right. So I'm gonna put it out just as a vote for those who are on the call. And I'm just going to ask each one of you individually, as I just did with the previous items. But this is, you're going to say whether or not you think it should be the champion or first and second place they got to pay for. So Andy, what do you think?
Champion.
Champion. Zach, what do you think?
champion.
Stacy, what do you think?
I think champion.
Okay, Sam, what do you think?
Huckleberry Finn.
Yeah, champion.
Okay, so our votes don't even matter because everybody said champion, and I'm good with that too.
Yeah.
And I'm good with that
You
too.
don't want to put anybody out.
No, I don't want to especially
Yeah.
when Tyler's going to obviously be the big loser this year. So I don't want Tyler, like, he's got to get a life started and other things. We can't do that to the guy.
Right, he's gonna be graduating, guys. He's gonna be graduating.
I know, crazy. So we'll keep it as that. We'll keep it as like they got to pay for the champions entry fee. Then I like that idea. And then,
Okay.
But
What
also, I do real quick. I do agree. Let's make it stuff that is doable. Like, not
Yeah.
that this wasn't, but let's make sure that we know, like, okay, this is something easy that can be done.
correct. I would say so. That's what I'm putting out there. I know Bob's not on the call, but he said he had a few ideas when I recently touched base with him a few days ago. But the ask, this is not to put out here right now. This is just for you all. Think of those ideas. Like, what are something that the loser challenge? Like, what's something they could do that's realistic? That is also at the same time a little embarrassing, right? It's got to be that. But think of some ideas, and then what I'll do is I'm going to ask for them, and then basically at the draft, I think at the draft, we'll just vote on it. So come with ideas at the draft, and then we'll all be able to vote. Because to me, that's at least a time where everybody should be there at it, and so we can give a vote, and you know that, hey, I've agreed to do this. So that's kind of where that lands. So just think of some ideas as you go through. If it comes up, write it down. All right, well, that's all. That's all we got for this presentation. And we don't have a shield, but we do have a heart. So represent the heart in all that you do, everybody. Okay.
See, I say make a little picture frame with this in it. Fantasy football loser, and put loser at the bottom or something, and make them hang it on the wall in the house for a year.
Oh, I like it. I like
Where
it.
that goes
Hey,
in
you're not
on
in the
mirror when you
league.
drive.
No,
He's
but
You're not in the league. You gotta be family to be in the league.
I like Andy's idea, but to improve on it, I think we should look into finding a magnet that you put on your car that says, "I'm a fantasy football
Right.
loser."
There you
Something
go.
like
That'll work.
something like honk if you're a winner. You know, That
Hey,
way,
I was
anytime
thinking
we
the
went-
same thing, or like do like a QR code or do something so then they have to like post it on social media so then we can also see that it's happening, like a hashtag or something.
that
Like,
would
so
be,
that like
that's pretty good. That's pretty funny. That'd
That's
be
Do
good.
the magnetic one with, I'm a fantasy football with the QRA code on it.
Yeah,
With that. I like that idea.
Yeah,
that'd
got
be
some
fun.
magnets.
and then that can be reused for
Yeah.
So
other
Allison's
you
gonna
could-
get that
yeah.
together for us,
All right,
everybody.
write it down.
Allison's got it. I'm
Write it
gonna
down.
write it
Okay.
down right now. 'Cause
All right.
Allison's gonna do that.
Good luck.
I-
I hope, I'm sure you can probably find it, but good
Sure.
luck. I'm sure it's gonna be a nightmare finding.
Dwayne,
Well,
just
you could
remember,
probably
you gotta
create
be
it.
in the family, so no pressure.
But
Don't
yeah,
be
so,
giving it a
okay.
bunch of advice. Don't be working through Stacy.
Oh,
Don't be
worry.
what?
Don't be working through Stacy.
Hey.
Dwayne,
he's
you
not
can do
helping.
whatever you want, Dwayne. I don't care. Cause
Yep.
you two are already friggin' married. Jesus is gross.
You guys are matching with dark glasses and stuff. too.
Hey, yeah, I know. What? What, Andy?
You're kidding. Huh?
What do I care? I don't care. Dwayne's gonna lose it anyways. Dwayne's gonna
I'm
lose.
just glad to see
Yeah,
Sam out there
I don't know
for
what
it.
Andy's talking about. I'm kind of
What?
hoping that Dwayne does do all this help so that we can beat them both.
Well, true that.
Okay, you keep talking shit, okay?
We're gonna leave now.
Oh, hey, that's one thing we forgot to put, and Greg, you need to put
Right
this
on
on
there, we gotta mow the
next,
yard, do some weed
next
eating, you
email or
know,
whatever, is,
cause I gotta, did you hear
they
me?
might want to put notification, shut it off on text during football games and Monday night, because
All right.
the phone just starts going ding, ding, ding. What was that? Bob woke up, he goes, oh my God, I
try.
just went to sleep and I got 127 texts.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I'll try my best to calm down this year.
okay.
And
Okay.
I think the GIF limit is still appropriate.
We have a gift limit again, 3 a day.
No, I don't care. I'm gonna be sending. Anyways, but thank you everybody for attending today's call and making it a priority in your life today. Appreciate that.
All
Love
right.
you guys.
That's a long time.
Love you
Yeah,
all.
love
See
you
you
all as
guys.
well.
In the